go ahead and put this in slideshow mode. Today is a bankruptcy tier list. Like I said, this was more so to give myself kind of just a loose idea to play around, something to just be able to riff on and make a tier list that doesn't feel very important because it's a bunch of businesses that have closed or have closed and reopened or whatever. And I found, for whatever reason, just find really big businesses just disappearing out of nowhere just fascinating. I'm not even sure if I find it funny or entertaining, but I do find it fascinating. So hopefully you guys are able to share in some of that entertainment with me. How to resurrect a dead mall. The general concept behind my wizard tower is this idea of old, collapsed, empty malls. They're just such a fun visual that feels like they lead so well to like a post-apocalyptic kind of cyberpunk dystopia, which is always really fun to kind of see fleshed out. So first, some definitions. Education first, resurrection second. Simple rule. Dead mall, a major shopping center most characterized by its lack of storefronts and foot traffic. Pretty easy one that I kind of already just described, but some other things are bankruptcy. A better definition of what it is a legal process that is like formally declared by an individual or business when they feel they can no longer repay their debts. This is it looks different in many different states, and there are a lot of different ways that this can like take shape. But usually this is a business's kind of like final declaration that they cannot make it work. And then finally, the retail apocalypse. This is kind of one of the general concepts that got me interested in this because it is a media term, an economic concept, but primarily an economic journalism term used to generalize the closing trends of physical retail stores in mass closing. But the original term, actually coined by Peter Glenn, and the reason I make note of this, had nothing to do with the closing of retail stores at all. In one of his like many economic essays, he was writing about the changes to the modern storefront and the concerns that he had with it, and the issues of things like strawberry flavored jelly as opposed to just strawberry made jelly, which like it's stuff that we see journalists freak out about today. It's the same stuff that they freak out about. And then when you go and you read about the retail apocalypse, you see that like even though it's coined back in the 90s, they start using it in like the 2010s, and they start talking about like more modern businesses most of the time. So like both ideas of this concept both kind of feel like this retail boogeyman, this big scary monster that is just going to come over the hills and eat your businesses up. To me, that's silly, and I want to make a tier list based on that silliness. So the standards for the tier list, something I think a lot of people are missing when they make a tier list video, is they don't necessarily put all of the effort into it, or they don't really have like standardization. They don't have any kind of like, oh, it's this for this reason. It's kind of just like feels based. They kind of lock it in there and they're like, yeah, that works. So we have three major standards that we're going to work off. There are still going to be loose standards. I can't sit here and measure each of these on a scale of like 1 to 10, just because that would make this video take forever. But our standards that we can work off rather loosely, but really well, are looks, service, and of course, memes. The easiest thing to rate. If store closing results in a lot of good memes, that's a really easy one. If the business going out like provides a service that is now like super still essential, that's pretty big. That's going to get you up there. And then looks, obviously, like what you look like when you go out, as well as just the general aesthetics of a store before it went out. Like, was that a store that I like wanted to go to or remember going to as a kid? Like those visual memories that just like lock in place. And then I will also have an S factor for any of my options that get put up to S tier. They will have to have a special quality, something that really makes them worthy of turning over into my wizard tower, which I guess we've got to get into. The base tower. Our canvas for our ritual masterpiece. I'm looking for 4 rooms to interlock and make up this total tower so that it doesn't feel so empty. So I have some new spaces to stream from inside my tower, some new virtual spaces. Sorry, just got a text there and got distracted. The base tower. canvas for our ritual masterpiece, where we're going to be placing all of these rooms once we figure out what they are and once we figure out what goes in them. Spoiler alert, I've already done all that. So, the disqualified dead, some dishonorable mentions to start us off. Just a quick couple jabs. Can you answer this for me, please?
She's trying to get a hold of me.
Yeah. Not to worry. So, the disqualified dead are dishonorable mentions. Just a couple businesses I want to throw out there that I'm not really going to mention for a couple different reasons, and this will kind of also help redefine what other businesses will be in here. There is, first up, Enron, as well as another topical one, SVB. These are some recent bankruptcies, or not really, some topical bankruptcies, I should say. This one, Enron, not very recent, and Silicon Valley Bank being rather topical and rather recent, but neither of them necessarily being what we're looking for, because they didn't have retail locations. They didn't have a store that was hollowed out that I can, spirit of Halloween, just kind of swoop in and possess. The only thing they sold were lies. That guy too. First up, first store on our tier list, Hastings, American retail chain that sold books, movies, music, and video games. Also functioned as a video rental shop. Okay, so we have Hastings in our total order here somewhere. I'm sure there it is, Hastings. And I got to figure out, based on my metrics of services, looks, and memes. I don't remember a lot of memes about Hastings. I don't remember anyone really mentioning Hastings at all, honestly. I don't remember like a lot of people who shop there. I do remember shopping there myself. I remember there being a lot of good comic stuff, a lot of good collectible stuff. There was like large movie figurines and a lot of just really cool stuff in that range. But I also I don't remember any memes about Hastings closing, so I will real quick look up Hastings memes. Do we have? Nope. Seems it all is about Hastings, England. So your meme quality is pretty low there, Hastings. Your looks and your services, they're pretty good. The inside of a Hastings, we can look Hastings inside. Yeah, pretty basic. I mean, this is a lot of American like entertainment stores. They all kind of look like this. I don't like the yellow walls. They're very bland. But the overall service, I do like it. I do like it. So I think just as a good baseline, Hastings is going to be, ooh, this is tough. We'll go B, but it might get pushed down to C by other options. Yeah. So there's Hastings. Next up, Bed Bath & Beyond. American big box store specializing in home textiles, housewares, decorative home accessories, and special items. I had never heard the term big box store before, and that was super entertaining to me to realize that there's a specific type of retail stores that is like, yeah, if everything comes in big boxes, we call it a big box store. It's like, yep, that's very American of us. Thank you. Bed Bath & Beyond, in terms of our three qualities, we have looks pretty basic overall. We have like, thankfully that auto corrected. Yeah, very generic department store, big box store, as they say. Yeah, very, very boring, honestly. The wood grain and everything is pretty bland overall, which I kind of like, but I also think is very, very boring. Yeah, this definitely just feels like a bunch of stuff is being sold to you for way too expensive in a store that looks very boring. And I have a feeling, aside from the movie Click, there are probably not a lot of Bed Bath & Beyond memes. Yeah. Yeah, and that's literally just stealing from the Click joke. That's just Family Guy stealing the Click joke. Except for, oh, and then, okay, yeah. Yeah, Bed Bath & Beyond, as a bankruptcy and just as a business, pretty whack, honestly. We're to go, you made me look at Family Guy. You're gonna go to D tier. You might get bumped up, but for now you're in D tier. for making me look at Family Guy memes. All right, MC Sports, an American retail sporting goods chain founded in 1946. 75 stores in the Midwestern United States before permanently closing. I remember these being everywhere at one point. I remember there being like 2 or 3 in the larger shopping town near me. And yeah, then they were just gone. They just wiped off the map. But it's also a sporting goods store. So I'm kind of like, hit or miss personally. The service is probably pretty good. Like, for the people who need it. I did play like every sport as a kid. And I just remember hating sporting goods stores because it usually meant you were buying protective equipment. Of various sorts, like shin guards and leg guard holders for freaking football and all sorts of other stuff. But then there's also like just, I was never very athletic. I never was able to convince anybody that I was ever very jock-like. So I just look out of place in an MC Sports or any kind of sporting goods store. Yeah, I definitely, while it's okay for some folks, it's not gonna be a good room for me. So we're just gonna put MC Sports as Bankruptcy as like a C tier. I didn't really notice it happen. I guarantee there's no memes because it's a sporting goods store. What memes are there to make? Yeah, it's just about actual. Ooh, you didn't see that. It is about actual sports people. No fun. Eventually, we will get to some good memes. I am convinced. Wet Seal. This one I had to pick just because the name bothered me, and I found out the name actually has a place. So it's an American retailer that sold clothing and accessories, primarily like women's clothes. The name comes from a fashion show where the wife of the founder said that one of the models looked like a wet seal in the bathing suit. And for some reason, that comment just weirds me out. And it stuck with me. So you guys get to learn about it too. And for making all of us learn that that comment existed, that's at least C tier. I'll listen to some objections, but I'm going to put Wet Seal in C tier below MC Sports. Might fall down to D tier depending on how I feel about Bed Bath & Beyond later. I might forgive the Family Guy meme, but it's not likely. Alrighty. And Blockbuster. I do like Blockbuster. Blockbuster was a very memorable bankruptcy. It was like a really like probably memed about closing. Let's be honest there. Like there's got to be tons of Blockbuster memes. Not only that, like, yeah, memes that show your age, stuff like that. Yeah, yep. All the memes about like just memories of Blockbuster. Heck yeah. Blockbuster's pretty up there. Now, for it to not be an A tier and for it to be an S tier, it has to have a special quality. I did say that. Was originally founded in 1985 as a home video rental store. There is the whole fact. I mean, I got to kind of talk about the last Blockbuster, right? In Bend, Oregon. There is a final standing Blockbuster that just refuses to give up. People have like joked about like they should make a movie or whatever. I don't know if that's like somebody actually tried to get that made. I doubt it. But there is a Blockbuster still standing. There is a lady who refuses to let this business die. She's been running it for ages and ages. She will buy the movies herself and then keep the Blockbuster running and renting movies. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say that's going to be our first something special for S tier. We got a little award for Blockbuster. We're going to go ahead and give that the Undying Award. Yeah. So for the first business to get S tier, that Undying Award, let's go ahead and go back over to the tower real quick. And let's go ahead and construct that room real quick. So go into my image files. Oh no, don't lift the curtain. And we will install that first room of Blockbuster. There it is. Attached right onto the tower. Heck yeah. So now that's been added, I guess we should probably check out what's inside, right? Heck yeah. So in here, I have a little living room type setup that I've been slowly planning over the past few weeks I've been working on. This is to be a We'll Be Right Back screen that you can see right here. Just so that the scene isn't completely empty and going back to the intro screen every time we're doing a Be Right Back, and also just so that I have a living room in this virtual wizard tower. So, very fun. Probably very silly, but this is the setup of the entire tier list. I'm sorry if this is not funny to anybody else, but it's going to be very funny to me for about 15 more slides. And then I'll be serious for a second, and then I'll let you go. Ooh, wrong button. Gotta make sure I click back over onto the PowerPoint. Borders. American multinational book and music retailer. In its final year, the company employed about 19,500 people. That's crazy. But there's like multiple stores that are owned by Borders as a company. They owned like Borders and Walden Books. So let's take a look at Borders inside store. See what the interior looked like. It's a cruddy picture. Ugh. Oh, see, this is a little bit more interesting. A lot more contrasty colors. The wood is used kind of a bit more sparingly, where everything else, like the corporate, kind of helps pull it together, whereas not everything is like, well, I mean, that's a meme right there. That didn't even pop up when I looked up memes. So that's a good one. That's a good one. The end is near. Let's see if we have any others. Any other good memes? Yep, a lot of people. Just kind of like, oh, yeah, they're gone now. Yeah, it's not as cool as Blockbuster, but it's on the same, wavelength. So, you can sit in A tier. You're pretty cool, Borders. Next up, we have the Room Store. Now, this one I kind of just wanted to look at because I thought it was funny to just like try to buy the whole room all at once. But apparently, they only sell the whole like furnishings for one room, so that's not very conducive to building a wizard tower. So, nonetheless, very cool. The Room Store. The Room Store. See what it looks like. Okay. Looks pretty decent, but almost all of the pictures are of it after it's already been emptied out. Like, goodness gracious. I'm pretty sure the Room Store was a pretty early closing as well. It was probably like early 2000s. So this one, you might not even remember. I don't remember this store. I don't remember ever shopping there. But we have some ABC news reports of their going out of business sales. Goodness gracious. Okay. Yeah, no one really knows. C tier. Better than Wet Seal, though. More memorable or less memorable than MC Sports? Less memorable than MC Sports. Next up. Mattress Firm. American mattress store chain filing bankruptcy in 2018 despite a long history of acquiring smaller mattress companies. Yeah, this is a big mattress monster eating all the smaller mattresses. I've actually learned that there is crazy amount of monopoly and like control that goes on inside of like mattress companies, and like mattress review websites will absolutely destroy you if you don't like pay them enough to promote your product. They'll just like destroy your product slowly over time. And like there are like all these like back and forth ways that it's just become this cash grab of like, yeah, the beds have not gotten any better for anybody, but like they're now hundreds of dollars more than they ever were, and that sucks. Let's see if they at least looked good while they were costing way too much money. No, they look like doo-doo. This is like even the actual store pictures, or what I think are supposed to be actual store, these all feel like ads. Every single picture feels like an ad. Which, like, is fine until you realize how much money goes into advertising. Like, how expensive every single promo shoot for a mattress firm has to be, and the fact that every single one of the, like, goodness gracious. These are all really nice pictures, and I hate that. Let me see a closed one. Yeah. Makes me feel a little better. Let me see like an empty one. One with no... Ah, they don't got any barren empty ones. Dang it. Those are the best. The ceiling's falling in a little bit. There's no more product anywhere. There's like a shelf with like one item tipped off of it. You can't tell what it is from the picture. Those are my favorites. I guarantee there's no memes for Mattress Firm either. Oh, there it is. That's a decent meme. I was gonna go C tier, but we'll go B tier for... Well, I was probably gonna go D tier, if we're being honest, because Mattress Firm and Super Monopoly. But I will say, still really bothered by that wet seal comment. Yeah, you can go there. Screw these businesses. Yeah, there were Mattress Firm memes. Who would have guessed? Somehow. I just like seeing how society reacts to every little change that happens within it, especially because people freak out so much about businesses, and it's just like it's a multi-million-dollar corporation. Somebody had to really goof up if, like, you know, several debts could not be paid for an entire business to go under. You really got to goof up a little bit. That, or you're doing it intentionally and, you know, being sold off to an investment company, which we'll talk about. That is an automatic C qualification. If you now belong to an investment company, you're doo-doo. You're not a business anymore. You're like a business golem being constructed by a bunch of financial wizards. I don't like it. He's a natural. I'm stalling because I don't know how to pronounce this. I think it's like, I believe it's French. Well, obviously it's French, but I believe the French pronunciation would be too difficult. So I will type it into Google Translate real quick and learn it for the first time. I intentionally didn't learn how this was pronounced, so. All right. Yep. So it's mean the Occitan woman in Provence. I don't know what that means, but apparently it's supposed to be pronounced like this.
L'Occitane en Provence.
L'Occitane en Provence. Probably horribly inaccurate. I apologize. Either way, super expensive luxury brand that existed in France for like a really long time, tried to branch over into America, and didn't work because we're a bunch of cheap suckers. I mean, it is what it is. I don't really like care all that much for like luxury brands, but I also have never been able to consistently afford luxury brands, so I also don't care. Let's see if we can see inside a store, see if it looks as cool as the hype. Oh, it does look really good. Dang it. I hate this. I hate when I take all this time to trash on something and it's nice, because it's like it would probably trick me. That's what luxury brands are about. They're selling you the brand itself before they even sell you a single product they have. And like, there it is right there, man. Like, that looks like a candy store. Oh, actually, they have macarons. So you could... Oh, that's not even fair. You got like luxury snacks right next to a bunch of care... You're evil. I appreciate this evil, but like, you are evil. Ugh. I hate that. Let's see what one looks like closed. Do luxury brands look as ugly as discount brands when they close? No, they probably do a really good job of like removing those pictures from the internet, honestly. Like never having a super collapsed in building or any like moldy macarons rolling around. Dang it. Okay. I don't think there's going to be any memes. I mean, there is the obvious meme of ho ho ho, but when you receive your oh, they're promotional memes. Oh, except for this one. Shampooing shampoo. Yes, the floor here is made of. I believe that has to do with translation, but I'm not sure. Oh goodness. And by that I mean I think shampooing actually just means shampoo in some languages, which is strange, but I think that's why it's on many bottles that way. shampooing in America is very common. But no, any of these, like I looked up memes and I'm just seeing a bunch of like promo. That's a reduction of points. Freaking luxury brand lure me in, trying to get me to buy your stuff. No. You know, you didn't make me look at Family Guy memes though. That is fair. Yeah, I'll go with that. D tier for now. Might move up. Toys R Us. You gotta love Toys R Us because they had possibly one of the most dramatic deaths of a company. One of the most like visible bankruptcies and closings. And like this is my favorite. This right here is outstanding. This is what I want to see when a business closes. Like I want there to be evidence of exactly what the business was before. Like I'm so sad that technically Pizza Hut is doing really financially well, not because I like Pizza Hut that much, but because I can't see that big red shell just be an empty like husk above a cement building, because that would you know it's a freaking Pizza Hut. And it's so sad because like anybody who buys it's like, yeah, I have to have the building with the Pizza Hut roof. But you could also use that to your advantage. I got this building after I out pizzaed the Hut. Like that'd be the first thing I would do. Which is pretty sad, honestly, now I think about it. But Toys R Us, not only was it pretty iconic for a lot of American kids, middle class kids. Oh, nope, not that. Toys R Us. Like these shelves, I remember very distinctly, the very brightly colored shelves. For some reason, I remember them being mismatched and plugged together, but that's probably very incorrect based on like every reference image I found. That or the one I went to was a little janky, but that's okay. It was my Toys R Us. Yeah, there's just something awesome about Toys R Us. And then it went bankrupt and it very publicly like disappeared. And then it did generate some games, you're right. Which is really cool. And then it did an even crazier thing. It came back to life. It straight up was like, I'm not dead anymore. And they closed all their stores in June of 2018, but I believe as of last year, they had something like 30 some odd stores already opening. So back from the grave, feels like a pretty easy award to give. It's going to have to be the Zombie Award for Toys R Us. Any building that can completely die, be this empty husk that is very obvious, and then come back probably only in the same building ever again, because let's be real. Nobody else is buying the Rainbow Toys R Us building, but once they come back, yeah, they already have a corpse waiting for them. So we can move over to the tower. Fun. We can install the next section of our tower, which, as you now know, is Toys R Us. Now, Toys R Us, I'm actually really excited about because the inside here, I've been kidding out with a whole bunch of stuff recently. I've secretly been setting my personal monthly goals on this little list here. Bankruptcy tier list, you're seeing it happen right now. Calamar Defeated just happened this past Tuesday, so we got that checked off. Skyrim Iron Man Challenge, I don't think I'm going to get done this month, so that kind of sucks, but 2 out of 3 is a pretty good start for my first time setting goals that weren't even public, and while working on all of these creative endeavors along the way. I'm pretty freaking proud of what I've accomplished so far. I think it's looking pretty good. We can see recent follows scroll over on one screen, recent animations that I've worked on for stream scrolling just like they do in the intro tab, and then you'll see 4 colored banners along the bottom. Those are representing some factions for chat teams that we will eventually get to. I will be having probably another presentation very similar to this one, where I explain the 4 different factions of chat, how you guys can declare your factions through your chat name colors, hint, hint. And we can begin to count up points very similar to Hogwarts houses, but with all of the, you know. Back to the tier list. Payless Shoe Source. I don't remember a lot about Payless, but I did go there a lot as a kid. Like, it was like the main place I remember getting shoes as a kid. But I also don't remember anything other than just like racks upon racks of shoes, which is, I guess, exactly what a shoe store should have, logically. but also, that's, yeah, like, it's so generic. I can't really rate that on looks because it looks like a bunch of shoes in a very tight quarter. That was one thing I always hated about shopping at Payless, is that it always felt like the aisles were so short together, and it weirds me out. I don't like it. It's like, the last thing I want when I'm trying on shoes is for somebody else to bump into me and like knock me over. Because then, like, I'm wearing one shoe, I'm knocked over in the middle of a department store, my mom is nowhere nearby because she's got my younger siblings to take care of, and I'm just like, it's just not good. Yeah, and you know what? Now that I'm starting to remember it, I really don't like Payless. Shoot. But they're very useful. They were a discount shoe store, and I tear through shoes like crazy. My poor mother would be broke without Payless shoe source. I was gonna give it C tier. Yeah, it can have B tier. Low B tier for being a shoe store. JCPenney, often abbreviated JCP, founded in my home state, Missouri. An American department store chain that operates 667 stores across the United States. It is still just barely hanging on and operating, but they have declared bankruptcy. And that's pretty sad. The main reason that I pay so much attention to JCPenney was the photo booth that they actually used to have growing up. My family used, and it was awful. Like, I'm not sure if you've ever done the in-store family photos, and though the photos always turn out great and look awesome, man, if it didn't take 4 or 5 hours with all of my siblings just trying to, like, don't beat the crap out of each other for 5 minutes. It's like, yeah, man. Like, I can't imagine that any JC employee who has worked the photo booth just enjoys their, like, any aspect of their job. There's no way they're being paid enough. Inside of a JCPenney, it is probably the most generic of, like, department retail stores like this, because it's super, or not department, but like department clothing stores like this, because it's like, it's always super white. It's super, like, this is every JCPenney in my memory. It's just this color, this like off-white that's just reflecting into your eyeballs at all time. Yeah, it looks like doo-doo. I don't like it. Are there any good JCPenney memes? Okay. Slight pog for, you know. Alright, well. We'll take the rights win. But also, it's still a company selling you stuff. So, B tier, JCPenney. They doubled down on a Pride ad. Gotta give them credit. But also, it's still a company. Still selling you things. Like, they don't care if you have, 2 moms or 2 dads. They just care if those 2 moms or 2 dads shop at JCPenney. And apparently they're not, because you're closing, so go away. Francesca's. Women's clothing chain with casual and dressy styles, plus bags, shoes, jewelry, and gifts, with a mission to deliver unique and outstanding fashion. I actually pulled that directly from their site, because I had no idea what Francesca's was. I've definitely seen them, and I've passed them a dozen times, but there's no time that I've ever remembered anything specifically from Francesca's. And I feel like there's so many businesses that do this. They claim like this outstanding, this wow factor. They have something that nobody else has. They're unique. And it's like, I have no idea who you are. Why are you? Okay. And I would imagine there's probably not a lot of, like, very interesting. It kind of looks cool. It looks a little crowded, though. I've noticed that most of the stores that feel like they're really built for being in a mall specifically are just built just way too tight together, which I'm sure is very intentional so they can get as much product in as little space as possible. But it really starts to feel like a safety hazard after a certain point. Like, this is reasonable. This feels dangerous. Maybe it's just a camera angle. But eventually, you start to wonder, like, how do you prevent one person from falling and just taking out an entire display like this? That would be my worst fear if I had to, like, set up, because I'm thankful that my retail job doesn't require me to set up anything like this, set up any fancy displays. I couldn't imagine. somebody tipping one of those over after you spent an hour and a half putting it together. No, and you made me look at Trump. I said I didn't want to make jokes about him. Are you more or less annoying than... It was a really pixelated Family Guy meme, but it was only one. You can go there. I'm not happy about it, but you can go there. Alrighty. Fred's I like better than Francesca's, just in concept. It's a lot simpler, more to the point. I'm not going to screw up the spelling or the pronunciation. When building this presentation, I made sure to put them back to back, just so that I could be like, yeah, no, I like Fred's better than Francesca's. It's an automatic, like, because that got D tier, because it, did its thing. I'm going to have to go up to C, but, oh well. American Retail Store, as of June 29th. So 155 of its stores were pharmacies, which I think is really cool because there are a lot of old school shops that don't really exist anymore that were considered pharmacies, that were like soda shops. We still have one here in my town that I'm not going to name. It is really cool. It's a really awesome little like old school pharmacy and soda pop shop. And I just wanted to like shout out, like, that's what an actual like mom and pop business is. Like, so many people claim the mom and pop business title or like they put on the mask of it when they're like they have like owned property and their family owns property for generations and generations, and they take a little bit of their like realty money and start a business. It's like, dude, this isn't really a mom and pop shop. It's like you're using your land, your freaking all this land that you've bought up to fund stores so that you can sell people things, because you're already selling them their house. May as well like sell them everything they need to fill it. It's like, screw you, I don't like it. But that's a silly thing for me to ramble about. Hey, welcome in, thanks for the follow, little brother, appreciate it. I am currently making a tier list about bankruptcy. I don't know if it's interesting. I don't know if anyone's having fun. I'm having a great time for some reason. This is Fred's. Shout out to you. This is actually Roguefell. One of Roguefell's nicknames growing up was Fred. So this is your store, dude. How do you feel about it? Beautiful. Yep. It's good. Yeah, it was one of your nicknames was Fred. Mostly because our stepmom kept demanding that he get a nickname, because the older two boys, me and my brother, had nicknames. And my dad, not wanting to disappoint, but also wanting to be funny in the moment, said, yes. This child is Fred. That's nowhere near his name or has nothing to do with a nickname. Exactly. And so he was Fred. Also fact. Yeah, I'll take that. Good to see you, little dude. Fred's though, pretty good overall. Made me think of a pretty good story from my dad. I like nostalgia. Let's see inside Fred's. Oop, I totally boofed that. Oh wow, it's super generic inside though. Kind of looks like it was like a warehouse. I worked at a distribution center. It was like very comparable to that. I guess we're just talking about, so when Fred's liquidated, I guess Toys R Us bought some of it up? Or like, is that the same story, or is this... Oh, the retail... Aha! See, there it is! The retail apocalypse. Our boogeyman. Our big scary monster coming to eat all your businesses. Shut up, USA Today. Some businesses fail. That's a part of businesses. If you believe in capitalism, this big working machine of yours, you should believe that this is just a natural part of the process. It's not a death. Sillies. Fred's still cool, though. A tier Fred's. Radio Shack, an American retailer founded in 1921. At its peak in 1999, Tandy Corporation operated over 8,000 worldwide. It's crazy to me that this store peaked when I was like being born, which I'm gonna assume. I'm gonna assume has to do with me. Yeah, I think that's it. I appeared and they peaked, and then I continued to exist, and Radio Shack just couldn't keep up. They knew one day I was going to be the techno lich, and they just had to get out of the way and have a corpse ready for me. And they did. They did a great job of that. I recently found out through some of this investigation that Radio Shack used to carry a bunch of hobby material as well. I keep adding that unnecessary C for some reason. I've done that so many times when I've been typing. This Radio Shack in particular. I've been learning, though, as I was trying to look for the insides of these different buildings and kind of decide which ones I thought looked coolest ahead of time, I saw this little logo right here. Games Workshop. For those of you who are unfamiliar, this is the company responsible for a lot of tabletop games, but most importantly in my book is Warhammer 40k, a game another one of my younger brothers has recently gotten me into. And I found out that they used to be a hobby shop of so many different kinds. They would carry thread and RC cars and hobby electronics and painting models and all sorts of stuff that like now are kind of only in hobby stores, but sometimes aren't even in hobby shops. They've had to like branch out into tabletop stores and stuff like that. But like just the thought of going to Radio Shack, picking up a pair of headphones, a couple model paints, and like a new mini all at the same store is a dream that I can unfortunately never experience. So just because it helped inspire the kind of the entirety of this video, this is going to be our next S tier option, Radio Shack. And it is going to go, I'm going to give it the Creative Spirit Award. Little Creative Ghost. I think it's funny. I don't know if you guys think it's funny. It'll be funnier later, but no, they were peeking and then you were, oh, shoot. Yeah, you got me there. Good point, good point. I remember going to Radio Shack, but I remember them like wheezing their dying breath. The blowing out sales and the like getting a CD player that said no skip for like $5 and it definitely skipped every time you put a CD in it. I do remember nanobugs. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we had a lot of nanobugs. Eventually, we ended up losing those things and then finding them in places when they would randomly get kicked on by the switch getting pulled by like a couch thread or something. And all of a sudden you just hear and you see something just skitter out from underneath. You're like, ah! Oh, nanobug. They would also just like randomly go off while sitting in the box together, and then they'd set each other off, and they would just like rattle the plastic box until you couldn't stand it anymore. Yeah, nanobugs were great. Dude, yeah, it's so easy. That's honestly, all of this tier list was just like, was hoping I could like grab my own nostalgia and just like revive it a little bit, and I'm freaking nailing it every time. I'm loving it. Ugh. Oh, I forgot to, before we move on, Radio Shack, the next award, the next S tier choice, the next layer of the tower. I'm getting distracted by nanobugs. I apologize. But the tower, the next layer, Radio Shack. Ta-da! There it is. Radio Shack is now installed. Now this one took a little bit more time, if I'm being honest, because I wanted to make sure that I reinstalled some of the original wiring to make sure everything was working. So here we have it. The updated, and we'll go ahead and no, other way around. Go back to Radio Shack there. There we are. Just as I'm talking about it, I'd rather it be on screen. But we have the primary screen over here, which will be used for drawing streams mostly. Here we see some small things decorating the TV that Techno Sully is sitting on, down under here. And then over here you might see this screen and kind of have trouble seeing it. It is mostly for me. It is my reference image for whatever I'm currently drawing. This is a collection of images from Dave Greco, one of my favorite artists who has worked for a lot of my favorite very nerdy companies, let's be real. But if you want a better view on stream, I just press my zoom in button over here and you guys have a much better view. And now my hand appears over the ref so I can talk about my specific reference pieces before I switch back to my whole room view where we have the drawing stream set up again, built inside of an old Radio Shack. Heck yeah. Background to the tier list. You guys already saw these next ones, but nonetheless, Century 21, an American chain of department stores, which had 13 locations in the northeastern United States at the time of its closing in 2020, and is supposedly going to reopen. I don't really remember like this meaning anything though. Like I think I've tried to shop at Century 21 maybe once, and I'm pretty sure everything was stupid expensive. I got really anxious about getting something that wouldn't be comfortable after spending too much money on it, and I left. So I got like maybe a coat from them one time, or maybe a pair of jeans that like I wore a few times. But yeah, no, it was mostly Old Navy discount section. That is my jam. Not just because it's cheap, but because it's easy, and that is all the more important to me. I don't like to think about fashion, despite the fact that I like to look nice, which is unfortunate. Century 21, however, everything I've seen, okay, everything I'm seeing I think is from, oh, that's, it's a very strange setup to a store. Yeah. I think I was inside one like when I was in New York once as a kid. I think it was in a big mall in New York, but I don't like this for some reason. It feels like Wall Street, if that makes sense. Why am I looking at a bunch of like Wall Street brokers if this is a shopping center? Why does this make me uncomfortable? I don't know. Century 21, C tier. You make me more uncomfortable than the wet seal comment, but not quite D tier bad. So, yeah, you just weird me out. Get out of here. I don't want to live in a Century 21. Neiman Marcus. An American integrated luxury brand, which owns Neiman Marcus, Bergdorf, Goodman, Horchow, and Last Call. None of those brands I recognize, honestly speaking. This is like just another, like, I want to look at a luxury brand and rip on it so that I can feel better about never being able to afford it. Actually, you know what? just based on what I'm seeing. Yeah, no, this is what they model the the swanky clothing stores off of in GTA 5. Like this is awful. This is doo-doo. I wouldn't want to shop here. This would make me feel a million times worse about myself while also being something that's supposed to be like a freaking ego inflator. Urgh. Sucks to be you guys. Yeah, Neiman Marcus, big pass, bro. See you. Now owned by a group of investment company. Oh, that's also, yeah, automatic C tier at least. And you guys are getting knocked down to D tier for being. And there are the puppies. Never miss a moment. Now owned by a group of investment companies. Which, like I said, automatic freaking failboat. Because you are a monster being held together by a bunch of evil wizards and money. Golfsmith. An American golf specialty retailer. They had a website, they had retail locations, none of them matter, they all got bought up. There is no more Golfsmith. There is no like Golfsmith specific brand of any kind. I was in a fraternity with a lot of guys who like were pretty obsessed with golf. And I still don't get it. So maybe if I look inside a Golfsmith, I'll understand them a little better. If not, well, oh well, it's golf. Oh, they actually had putting stuff and like, oh, so this is the fitting studio I read about. Okay. So they had a lot of like really cool additional services, but that may have been like a part of their overhead problem. So they may have kind of cost themselves on that, which is interesting. Right. But it also just like golf always just feels like a very expensive, very like exclusive sport. I don't know if that's just my outlook, but golf's just kind of eh. Like I like Scottish people, you know, the folks who invented it, and they definitely had the land for it. But here in America, it just feels like a golf course just like is there to take up as much space about. But Golfsmith isn't a golf course. Gotta give him credit. In fact, this actually means there are less golf courses when they have little putting things for people to practice on. So, for a golf company, that's a win. I don't really much care for golf, but you guys can be B tier. Yeah, the photo booth still makes me more uncomfortable. Sorry, JC Petty. Like you have feelings. The Limited. So this is American clothing retailer. After 2007, it became a brand now owned by another private equity firm, the Sycamore Partners, as well as it was owned by a different bunch of investors, and then they dropped it, and then another group came along and they started investing in it. So like I've learned that there are a bunch of these clothing companies that should have failed at some point and are just like barely being kept alive, which is very funny when I'm like trying to make jokes about necromancy. But the fact that they write themselves so obtusely, I'm just like, dang, okay. Well, now I'm just sad. Like I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a super villain, and it's like, oh, don't worry, bud. The CEOs beat you to it. Right. The financial investors that you will never hear the names of because they just work for a company, and I mean, that's it. Oh well. I should get the limited. I rambled too much. The limited. We'll look inside first. We'll give it the same fair shake we gave everything. It's just you're owned by an investment company. And before that, you were owned by a different. I don't remember if the investment company was bought by an investment company or if it was the store, if the company was bought from one to the other. But either way, I am satisfied that you have an empty picture like that and that you have a bunch of like these closing, because these are good. These are especially good for like a thumbnail. This guy right here. Make a real helpful thumbnail right there. But overall, I don't remember seeing the limited. Dolly, do you remember anything about the limited?
No.
No. Yeah. See, it's just apparently it was like an outlet clothing store. Oh, that's dang it! They clickbaited me. Look, the limited scandal. Ooh, collection inspired by scandal. Ah, dang it! Got my hopes up. You know what? For that, that's a slight dock. How dare you? You will sit in C tier. Physical discomfort is pretty high ranking. Wet seal made me pretty uncomfortable, so it's got to go lower. Mattress firm's pretty evil, but you're owned by an investment company. Mattress firm is dead at least, so you can go there. At least it's dead. And I guess next up, final up, number 20, Guitar Center. As you guys might have guessed, I've already planned for this one to be my last S tier picks. I didn't know exactly where I was going to place the other ones, but Guitar Center, I have to give an award for being the devil in disguise, for convincing me as a young child that one day I can be a big rock star, some big famous internet personality with a microphone and a bunch of original art and original ideas and music playing. And oh, wait a second. I'm still doing it. It's still compelling. It is still, no matter what, if you're working in a creative field that requires audio equipment, it was always really helpful. The downside is that you had to deal with employees who absolutely sucked. They were the worst every time that you went there because they knew way more about guitar than you. They had absolutely no interest in your skill as a guitar player. And sometimes it really just felt like they were trying to make a sale. And that really sucked when you're trying to, explore a creative endeavor. I don't know. I just wanted to ramble specifically about Guitar Center because they're one of the most recent bankruptcies for a retail store, so it's topical. I'm on the point. It's clever, and I can safely say, how you took so much of my money? Hey, figure it out, stupid. Anyway, because it is the next and final S tier choice, I do have to reveal. Yeah, there were many a Tumblr meme about Guitar Center, about the Guitar Center employee, about how he was absolutely only there to play guitar, flirt with chicks, and sit out back so he could smoke a joint. Yeah, it is unfortunate. It is the history of Guitar Center. Legendary, but legendarily evil. But not evil for corporation reasons, just because the music industry is expensive, and those corporations take advantage of all of us. But take advantage of Guitar Center to the point that they're gone. But well, it's just a business. Because really, though I did have some fun building this tower, I honestly use this tier list just kind of as a vehicle to do so, to make some jokes along the way, and honestly just kind of hang out with chat a little bit, because that's honestly the most fun that I tend to have, is just chatting with you guys and making very stupid jokes. So I appreciate that. But this wasn't just for memes. This wasn't, completely meaningless. I do want, at least some takeaways. That way, even if you didn't find this funny, if you didn't find this at least fun to listen to, like a slightly more entertaining podcast, well, then I'm sorry. At least you learned nothing good can last forever. Our favorite businesses and our favorite like trends when it comes to like what we do, the idea of going and hanging out the mall might look very different. The idea of like businesses we used to shop at all the time being super popular might not always be, but also like more simple things like a product might no longer exist, or more personally, just any number of things changes at any time, as I've been learning with this stream, as I've been learning how to plug in all these different pieces. Something old can always be transformed, which I was really trying to do here. I didn't reveal inside the Guitar Center yet because I'm still working on that. There's always a work in progress happening. I always like try to give myself a project so I'm staying busy, but that also has resulted in a lot of like really fun projects like this one. So an idea that doesn't really feel like much of anything, or an actual thing that is very old and nobody's doing anything with, can find a purpose in some way. And lastly, corporations aren't people. I don't know what that was that just flew by. Ignore that. But that's kind of it. Businesses aren't people, though they're made up of lots and lots of people, and though very easily our laws confuse these things. We don't have to feel bad for a giant corporation when it dies, because it isn't a big body that we have to resurrect. It is an empty shell of cement and glass and metal. It is it's not something we can resurrect. Even if a bunch of investors come and put a bunch of money in it, that doesn't make it a person. It doesn't, just because people are moving in and out of it doesn't make it anything important. I think what are important are people. I think like people who kill themselves at their job every freaking day working for a corporation that will die and revive itself 1,000 times but not ever pay them enough is far more like frustrating than I can ever be entertaining in a video. But on a slightly positive note, resurrect your artist. Pablo Picasso said, "Every child is an artist. The problem is staying an artist when you grow up." Take a quick sip of my drink there. I believe literally everybody at one point in their life was an artist. And I mean this very wholeheartedly. I think everybody has some sort of creative spirit, some sort of creative endeavor that they can channel into something that they can resurrect. And I hope that if I do anything with my streams, with these like very pointless feeling jokes, with the silly little pictures that I draw, I hope that I inspire you to make things. I hope that you take whatever tiny fragment of creative magic you find in yourself and you make something fantastic from it. Because this stream has been the world to me recently. And I just hope that I can inspire you guys the same way that this stream and just the positive energy that I get from you guys continues to inspire me. So thank you. Don't forget to press all the social media buttons. I have to throw that in there. A big ol' subscribe as I get all emotional and start to have problems speaking super clearly because I'm bad at emotions and expressing them honestly. But the stream has meant the world to me. And I appreciate all of you guys. I hope you guys like the new additions we've made. It definitely feels a little bit more comfortable here. With time, we'll flesh out the rest of it, the factions. I'll show you what I've got going inside the Guitar Center. I'll give you guys a quick little peek, just to show you. I got this room here. I got some more stuff that'll be in it, so it'll look cooler when everything's in place. I didn't want to show you guys an unfinished room yet, or at least as a part of this stream. But thank you guys for coming by. I don't have anything else for you today. No more games to play, no more presentations made. I'm honestly a little surprised I made this one because I still have no idea how to make a tier list video, but this was really fun. And I hope you guys had fun, even if the content itself wasn't, exactly what you were looking for. Hopefully I was entertaining. You guys kept me entertained. You guys keep me energized, and I can't wait to see you again on Tuesday. Thank you so much for coming by, and I'll see you next time.